So Adonis here. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a call or in person with a group of friends, but there's at least one friend that you guys don't see eye to eye anymore, or not as like you used to, but you can't really call it out? Well, fortunately, that's kind of what situation I'm in right now. So I discussed this a while back about one of my buddies. We just kind of the past year been really not really seeing eye to eye. Grant, I'm not going to be ignorant and say, it's not my fault. I know it is, but I don't know. It's like I'm not trying to play like the person that like says, it's not me, but I know it's some of my actions. Well, I know it's my actions, but it's like the communication isn't there to resolve the issue, right? So past few months, the past like 2 months, I didn't talk to my friends really, right? I just kind of been working on myself, just been doing some new things, right? But like before that, right before I kind of like went on my own for a little bit, you know, talking with my friends, it just like me having that change of mindset, just wanting to change, and but still, you know, interacting with the same people, it wasn't the same feeling. It just like the vibe I brought in wasn't a good vibe, right? And I knew that, deep down it was, I joined in, just kind of was quiet. I didn't talk most of the time, and it just wasn't those things that I acknowledge the issue. It just like for me, I have no one else to talk with, right? You guys are my only friends. So, but it's just I'm going through some stuff right now, and the thing is, one of them really like, yeah, the past year, since last year, and I've made multiple videos about it, like early on when I was like blogging, when I started my YouTube channel. It's one of those things where we our relationship, my relationship with my friends, was founded upon high school and video games, right? Well, high school was many years ago, right? So now the only thing left is video games. That was our main and sole interaction. So when for me falling off of video games, falling my love out of video games, it's created that it created an environment where it wasn't the same, right? I just wasn't feeling the same, interacting the same. I just wasn't in the mood. It just my head was always somewhere else, right? And there was some disagreements, disagreements between me and him in the past. Not major. For me, I would say it's not major. Just like I'm just not feeling it, right? And I know, like when we were playing games the past year, when I was playing games with them, I just wasn't in it, and he could tell. It's just like I was there just to be there, right? So in a way, I was killing the mood. I was killing the whole experience of the game, right? So it just kind of was like a domino effect over the course of months. Just kind of not hitting the same, right? It was just like sad to say, but in a way, it's like, are we still friends, right? I mean, I would still say yes. Um, I would say more along the side of friends and acquaintances. But because I mean, we've known each other. I mean, we've been with each other since what, kindergarten, pre-K. But like when we really like got to be friends was really to like end of middle school year, which granted that's a long, long time. And just like I said, you know, seeing seeing each other every day, going to school for years together, build. a strong relationship. Well, you would think that, but it was one of the things where after high school, that interaction, physical interaction in terms of like seeing the other person. I mean, after high school, we might have seen each other maybe once a year, maybe, right? Twice a year, at least for me, right? So it was like we went every day for months on for the whole year, right? To just once, twice a year. And it's like, granted, yes, we did play video games on a daily, weekly basis, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's video games, right? I would say it's not as strong as a relationship versus interacting, having uh, experiences in person, right? Um, and so for me, it just, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of years we played games, and obviously there was like that 1 year. Cause I made a video recently. That was like the 1 year I didn't talk to no one when I was in college, and we got back together, playing games, and then I would say at least the past 2 years kind of been like dwindling. The past year and a half is definitely like nosedived. So for me, it was like, okay, so before we saw each other maybe once, maybe let's say twice a year, and we would talk on daily, weekly basis on video games. So when you remove what brought us together, video games, at least for me, right? It was like, okay, I mean, we, hopping on hopping on a Discord call, and just that's it, really, and just like they're all playing games. I'm just there, like, hey, like, it's awkward in a way, even though we knew each other for over a decade. It's like, what's there to talk about, right? It's how's the weather, right? Just before it was like what we talked about would it would be the games we'd be playing. You know, Sometimes we talk about this and that, but for the main gist, it was about the games, video games, right? But without that, like you eliminate that, and it's like the foundation crumbles. I mean, like I said, this is my point of view. I mean, the foundation just crumbles. And it's like, okay, like we don't, like, so we haven't done anything in person. I've said it over the years because, I guess in, back of my head, I felt, you know, some of it was true, or thought of it at least, right? That like, hey, let's go play golf or bowling or just do something, because if all our experiences that we talk about are just in the past, years ago and during high school, I mean that's just reminiscing of the good old days, right? It's like if we're not making new memories, new experiences, and we're just remembering the old days, that doesn't, like, that's not sufficient enough to, going forward, right? I mean, I know I'm not explaining it as best as I probably could. Someone could probably word it a lot better than me right now, but for me, I feel like if you interact in person, granted, I get it, like money, right? Because one of our friends doesn't work. I mean, he helps his dad out, so he gets, I guess, allowance. And at the time in the past, right, my other friend, he was making good money, but he was very busy most of the week. But I mean, granted, you think about it, we played video games for hours and hours on end. Like realistically, there was time for us to hang out, right? It's just having everyone agree on a time or day or doing something and then doing it. Very, very small percentage of like getting that done, right? And like I said, it was just, for me, I wanted to do something in person, but that just really never came to be. And so now, I just started talking to my buddies, uh, just kind of, because like for me, really, just I don't really have anyone else to interact with. I don't have any other friends, right? So it's kind of like always like wanting to go back, but like no, like because if I join back in the calls, like I got nothing to provide. Like I'm just there just to be there, just awkward, right? It's just not the same vibe. But I joined my one of my buddies because he's really into football. And last year I got into football. We would play fantasy. Like I was really into watching football, the football games every week. Like I was actually interested. Like that was something, watching it with my friend every week. Like that was something to look forward to, right? That was like a hobby, right? Watching football. I was never like into football or very knowledgeable, but that was one of the things like I always look forward to, like every week, looking, watching the game with my buddy. And so preseason starting up, so we were just, we were talking about it, and then earlier today we were watching a game. But like yesterday, I talked to that buddy that I'm just not like I don't have a problem as far. I would say I don't have a problem, but my other buddy, he obviously isn't like he's not messing with me anymore, right? Just not because like I said, the last time we talked, it was not like good terms. Like we're not on good terms, right? And so I talked to I yesterday I talked to him, like he hopped in. I'm like, oh hey, just saying hi and stuff. And then I was having to get off, and I was like, hey, before I get off, because I had, work tomorrow. I was like, hey, before I go off, I asked him, I was like, hey, are you down to play some fantasy? And he just left. And I was just like, yeah, like I knew. I was like, okay, he's still not messing with me at all, right? He's really only here because my other friend that's he plays with. So I was like, okay. So today it was just, I don't know, like Alex out, we were all together in chat in a Discord call. It's just one of those things where I personally, I don't think that relationship will ever be restored. It's just one of those things that's kind of like lingering, but like it really, I mean, I can't, like, to be honest with y'all, if I didn't join in and stop talking with them, like joining chats or messages went out for years on end, they probably wouldn't message me back. And that was one of the things, just talking about like friendships in general. It just I've always been the one who's been reaching out. No one's It's rare for anyone to reach out to me, right? And that's where I thought about it for the 2 months. It's kind of like no one ever checks up. You're always one. Someone messages you, you respond immediately, right? Like that's me. If someone messages me, I respond. You message someone, it could be hours, it could be another day or two, right? But I've always been the one who's kind of like on the fly. Like I get a message or something, or like, hey, you available? Yeah, yeah. You know, but if it's flipped, like if you flip the script, it's not always like that, right? And I mean, you can say like, oh, well, their schedule's different, this and that. The schedules we have aren't that strict. I would tell you what. I'll tell you that. And it's just one of those things where finding new friends. I mean, I don't 100% agree about ditching old friends, but like for me, realistically, right now, like if I was to talk to someone, you know, very knowledgeable, they'll tell me find new friends, right? And it just you've like for me, I've just grown out of playing video games, and since that's what made up our whole relationship, it just wasn't. It's just not that. It's just not sufficient enough, really, right? It just, uh, I deep down I know like I gotta find other people, but I just, I'm only. I don't know any other way of finding new friends besides in person, right? Obviously, anyone watching is like, well, just talk to people online, meet communities. I'm just like, okay, but I know there's many people that build strong relationships via the web, but I mean, easier said than done. And it's like, talking to someone over, or in a community, group, like a group chat or just something like a public community, it's like, okay, well, I don't know anything about you besides your username, your profile pic, and wherever you post, right? Versus in person, it's like how they grew up and all. Like, obviously, you can ask that, but like from the beginning, like, stranger to stranger is kind of like, oh, and that's kind of the situation I'm in today. So I want to make this video just kind of like an update. Like, hey, I talked to my friends again after 2 months, but the relationships aren't, like I said. One of them, like, yeah, I play. Well, not play. I talked to him about football. My other friend in Norway, he just now he's in Norway, whole different life with his wife now. So he got a lot of things on his plate, time zone and everything. So it's not the same as well, but it just kind of like it sucks. It really sucks. Growing out of your friend group, out of your group that you had for many many years. So, but before I go, if there's anyone that may watch this video, if you have similar experiences or know of any experiences, I would love to hear that. And how would you resolve the situation, or if you dealt with it personally, how did you do it, and whether good or bad, whether you have to cut off the person, or maybe you tried this and that, and you got to develop the relationship further than what it was currently. So I'd love to hear what stories anyone has. So, but thank you for watching. Have a good day.